What were the main points of your today's lecture?
The main points were really to do with how organizations like mine, but really all organizations, need to think about how to use technology differently. So going from what I call the social age of technology into the societal age of technology, where we use technology as a means of enabling solutions. Whether that's a marketing solution, whether it's, in my case, a social solution, how we engage with our audiences, in our case, our supporters, in order to help them, to help us devise solutions to the problems that we face.
Do you think that media industry, the advertising industry, communications industry is ready for digital communication?
It's getting ready. I think, to be honest, I come at this from having worked in brand communications, both in broadcast organizations and digital organizations before my role at Amnesty. I think that the advertising industry is still getting its head around how to utilize social media, digital media. There's still very much a broadcast approach to how we get our message across. So, and by that what I mean is using digital media to amplify the voice of the organization instead of using digital media to amplify the voice of the customer in order to help us to create products based on their needs. There are some examples. The Burberry example that was used this morning, a great example of how organizations are redefining how they approach using digital technologies in order to tailor products to audiences. But at the moment, I think there's still very much a latency within advertising and marketing, which is based around the idea of how do we get our products out? How do we amplify our products out based on what we know is best for the customer?
Can you maybe share with us one of the examples of good practices that you have encountered?
Okay, good practice. I'd say that the Burberry example used earlier is a good example of how to do that. There are examples of Starbucks, using another example, who have, as an organization, embraced the idea of, I guess, open source product development, if you like. How do they define what they need to do in their stores? Other examples are the organizations we've worked with in the past, IDEO. Some of what we're doing is quite revolutionary. The whole idea of instead being an organization that goes into a situation and tells the world what it thinks is going on, and instead speaks to the people there about what is actually going on and then amplifies that message. So there are many and several examples out there. Dell is another organization that have been using social media really effectively to sell products, not simply to market.
You mentioned that we are, in a way, lagging behind. We are still more in the broadcast mode and not so much into interactive mode. So my question to you would be, how do you think such a switch or such an upgrade can be achieved?
By watching a lot of the digital native organizations, so organizations which were born in the digital sphere, if you like. All of the organizations coming out of Silicon Valley, all of the startups coming out of places like Eastern Europe, Western Europe, all of the startups that are, I guess, couched in digital to begin with, and don't have this legacy of having to transfer both their marketing practices, their customers, their employees into this idea of using digital. It's not a case of migration, it's a case of this is what we do. And I think that there's a fundamental lesson to be learned there. A lot of organizations who don't embrace that will simply fall away in the next few years. That's a given. So a lot of the organizations, quite frankly, that are here won't have the market share that they have in future.
So maybe to play with words a little bit, you're implying that older guys should maybe listen a little bit more to the younger guys.
I mean, it's not about age per se. I think it's.
I was talking figuratively.
Yeah, okay. I think it's to do with evolving business models and being responsive to evolving business models and making sure really that in any given situation you are able to allow for your organization to evolve, to grow, to reflect what is actually happening in the market and not to be complacent. And to use a very obvious example again, I mean, RIM. Research in Motion, 2 years ago, we're selling, I think, 15 million units a year. That's down to like half of that now, and in 2-3 years there won't be really anything in terms of the mobile marketplace. Nokia had the same fate, it could happen to Apple. It could happen to any of these organizations if they don't embrace change. So I think that there's a fundamental lesson to be learned in terms of making sure that you're responsive to whatever is going on and how things are changing.
Now to switch to another topic, what are your impressions of this conference?
It's a great conference. It's my first time in Slovenia. I'm really pleased to be here. I'm pleased that an organization like mine was asked to present here, because I think that there are a lot of lessons that can be learned from organizations involved in civil society. Fundamentally, we're doing similar things in the respect that we're trying to reach new constituents, new audiences, new, in our case, supporters, and to get them to engage with us in a way that we can carry them through, I guess, a lifetime of involvement. It's kind of similar to what organizations here are trying to do, even though the output, the outcomes may be quite different. But essentially, everything that I learned in my commercial days, I have applied to my work now at Amnesty, and it still remains relevant. So I think it's great that I've been asked to come along and present here, and I think it shows maturity in the organization of this conference, in the respect that it isn't trying to cast a line between NGOs or the charity sector or not-for-profits and the commercial sector.
Okay, you're based in UK, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you.